For most of us, telemarketers and door-to-door salespeople can be a nuisance, but a new report shows rogue traders are deliberately preying on Indigenous consumers. Kieran McKechnie reports from the Aboriginal community of Yarrabah, just outside Cairns.
They target the most vulnerable people in the community. I mean, literally, they do target the most vulnerable people and people who cannot afford to be in these contracts for products that probably 90% of the time that they don't need or they can't use.
In the small Indigenous community of Yarrabah, just outside Cairns, Drew Danga is keeping watch for rogue traders who roll into town and prey on those who don't know their rights.
The way the business was conducted with this particular salesperson.
He's the team leader in Yarrabah's ICAN office, the Indigenous Consumer Assistance Network.
We'll look at then if he's breached that, next step is we'll have to take to the Office of Fair Trading.
It's a job that keeps him extremely busy.
The people that come in and target on Indigenous communities are aware that there are cultural aspects that they can take advantage of, where people's where they don't want to offend, and they know if they give the hard sell that a lot of Indigenous people will just agree and go along with what they say, and ultimately they'll say, oh yeah, just to get rid of them, because they stay there and they do the hard sell and they do it for a considered time.
Most people don't think twice about hanging up on a telemarketer or turning a salesperson away from their door, but Aboriginal people won't, and rogue traders know it.
That's a part of our culture that, that these people take advantage of.
Before they know it, they've bought a water cooler or white goods or a mobile phone. It's something they didn't want and didn't know they were buying.
And people don't want to deal with it because they don't want to appear that, that they're stupid, that they've done something wrong, and not that these people have preyed on countless other people.
Now there's hard evidence to back that up. James Cook University law lecturer Heron Loban has this week completed a report for ICAN. She says many rogue traders are shameless.
It became very clear. One of the people that I interviewed, we managed to get a telephone recording of the telephone conversation, and the whole period of the contractual negotiations went for about 1:58, which is less than 2 minutes, a very short period of time to enter into a contract that's worth thousands of dollars. And most of the talking was done by the trader, and the consumer or the Indigenous person was simply saying yes, yes, yes. So there are some very clear examples where you can see that the trader knows that there isn't any understanding, knows that there isn't any intention to enter into a contract to buy the product or the service.
There's no question rogue traders specifically target Indigenous communities. In one case, a door-to-door salesman refused to leave an Aboriginal woman's home until she agreed to his contract. After 4 hours, she signed up so her family could eat its evening meal. Heron Loban says, sadly, Indigenous consumers make easy targets.
There's isolation and remoteness. There's a lack of access to legal and financial services and advice. There are cultural and language barriers where Indigenous people may have English as a second or third language. There are also sometimes lower levels of education or literacy or numeracy.
But even those who are educated can get caught in the system.
I'll come and see you on the Tuesday morning, you'll be over.
Matthew Noble's mobile was stolen last month. He contacted ICAN to get it to call the phone company to cancel the service. Instead, it just kept sending him hefty bills, racked up by the thief.
We thought everything was taken care of, but the next fortnight I received another bill for $1,700.
Mr Noble is frustrated and believes if he were white, the phone company would have fixed the problem immediately. He says he knows his rights, but many don't.
There are other Aboriginal Indigenous people who have not had the education that I have had, and I find that it was terribly hard for me to try to get across to them to cancel the phone, and you can imagine the others who have had no education at all.
And we need to see some changes to the complaint mechanisms at state and federal levels to make asserting people's rights more accessible for people that may live in remote Indigenous communities.
And there's little incentive for cowboy operators to act responsibly.
I think the penalty for a first breach is quite insignificant. So compared to an example of a recent failure that came through and 5 or so communities made approximately $2 million, if the penalty is $25,000, there's no reason not to continue with that behaviour.
For now, the only deterrent in places like Yarrabah is the presence of ICAN and the watchful eye of Drew Danga.
Really what we need to have is that the law needs to be looked at and changed in a way that it takes into account when people are dealing with Indigenous consumers.